Now I have told you what is a DOD. Now some people will get confused between a DOD and a acceptance criteria because both appears like same, right? See, DOD, I told you what is an acceptance criteria, right? And both appears to be same. People will get confused. Always remember, this definition of done is nothing but it is the exit criteria for a user story. We should be very clear. And then acceptance criteria is actually a part of this. I will tell you. So first, what is the purpose of a definition of done? Definition of done is going to tell very clearly that when can you mark a user story as completed or done, right? So it's a checklist. And this acceptance criteria should tell what are the conditions your user story should satisfy for a given requirement. So you have completed a user story with credit card payment means. So there will be certain steps, right? Given when then format, you would have written the acceptance criteria, correct? So whether that business conditions are satisfied or not. That is what this acceptance criteria is going to tell. And then definition of done is uniformly applied to all product backlog items. That means for an epic, there will be for example, a sprint level, there will be a separate DOD. Story level, there will be a separate DOD. For example, when can you tell like an epic can be closed? That also separate DOD will be there. Okay. And when it comes to acceptance criteria, this is applied to a specific product backlog item. That means one user story will have one acceptance criteria. And another user story will have a different acceptance criteria, right? Because the business outcome required from the user story will be different. Next, development team, who owns the definition of done, who owns the acceptance criteria. See, the development team owns developers owns the definition of done. That means they should understand and they should agree that, okay, this is the definition of done that everyone should follow. In the same way, here acceptance criteria, you know the answer very well. PO, right? PO owns the acceptance criteria. PO owns the acceptance criteria and development team should understand them. Next, this definition, see this another question, this may be asked even in an interview also. Whether acceptance criteria can be changed. Actually, we can change the acceptance criteria. We can negotiate to some level. It is negotiable. Okay. So who will negotiate? The product owner and the development team will negotiate. For example, a product owner will come and tell like I need it in this way. So he or she may modify the acceptance criteria as per the business requirement. The same way development team also may come and tell this is the business outcome which is achievable and whether we can have this, and some kind of negotiation will happen. So acceptance criteria are negotiable. And then definition of done, now we're coming to the definition of done, it does not change frequently. For each sprint, it will not change. Rarely once the team has started working with a particular definition of done, they will start following it for all the user stories, epics, everything. Okay. So acceptance criteria is negotiable, and definition of done is something like we don't change it frequently. It does not mean that definition of done we should not change at all. It can be changed. Correct. And meeting definition of done ensures one meets the acceptance criteria. I told you already, right? That means indirectly it's going in DOD itself. We have 1 point, right? What point we had? It should satisfy the acceptance criteria we had, correct? 1 minute. Let me go back and show you. So in the meantime, I will just explain this point. Just meeting the acceptance criteria may not necessarily mean that definition of done is also met. See, inside definition of done, 1 point is acceptance criteria, correct? Okay. There are more points. Yes. So always remember, only meeting acceptance criteria does not mean that definition of done is met. Definition of done means it's a checklist. All the conditions should be satisfied. So always have this in mind. Okay. See here, definition of done checklist. We have 1 point that acceptance criteria met for each issue, right? But the vice versa is not correct. That is what is mentioned in this point. Okay, let me